This is the book of Haggai, chapter 1, verse 6. Ye have sown much and bring in little. Ye eat, but ye have not enough. Ye drink, but ye have not filled with drink. Ye clothe you, but there is none warm. And he that earneth wages to put it into a bag with holes. I want to start off by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Ruach Kodash, which is what? The true names of the Heavenly Father, who the world ignorantly calls God in their various languages, whether it's Dios, whether it's God, or whatever you want to call him, all right, in your languages. His true name in the Hebrew is Yahweh. And his son's name in the Hebrew is Yahushai. Yahweh means he exists or he is. Why? Because he's everything. And Yahushai, his only begotten son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, is he the deliverer in Hebrew. Why? Because he's the one who delivered Israel, all right, by putting his life down, starting with the elect, okay, and ultimately cleansing us of our sins. That way we don't partake in the second death that's coming. And by doing that, he's going to physically deliver his elect, all right, when that destruction comes, which is known as the second death, the destruction by thermonuclear missiles and fire, okay, that will rain down upon this place very soon. And why is that? Because we live in a world that's filled with wickedness. We live in a world that's filled with murder, lies, deceit, okay, bloodshed, okay, wickedness upon wickedness upon wickedness, known as iniquity, all right, confusion, robbery, okay, destruction. This is the world that we're living in because we're living underneath the vibration of the wicked, the man of sin, all right, the ultimate antichrist, anti-Messiah, okay, and everything they do, it goes against what? Scriptures. It goes against a sound mind. It's all about destruction. It's all about pain so they can gain, okay? Now, I want to go into a lesson, something known as buyers beware. Okay, buyers beware. All right, let the buyer be what? Let the buyer beware. Okay, and that's why I brought out this precept, because we live in a system, all right, designed. Okay, it's a system designed to keep you broke, to keep you in poverty, to keep you under, to keep you always what? Working, and not gaining anything. That's not living. All right, that is surviving. Okay, so let's read. It says, in the 30 years leading up to the Civil War, United States federal and local laws were increasingly interpreted to benefit businesses at the expense of community interests. All right, continuing, it says, a good example of this is the law of eminent domain. Let's say you are a homesteader who did have the $200 for a homestead out west, and you got some land and were living somewhere a railroad needed to pass through. The railroad may have offered you a few bucks and you refused, or just not offered anything and waited for their buddies in the government to take care of it. The government would just use eminent domain, the only thing it was ever used for, which is eminent domain, to simply take the land from a farmer and give it to the railroad company for free. Okay. Another example of how an eminent domain, all right, is actually something that they're going to be doing very soon. All right, being that we are in the time of Jacob's trouble, all right, or we're entering into the time of Jacob's trouble. Everything they do is they're going to be bringing out all kinds of laws that Jacob is not even aware that even exists. Okay, and eminent domain basically refers to, the power that the government, has, all right, to take private property from people and convert it into a public use, right? And I believe the Fifth Amendment, provides the government, the ability to do that as long as, they can exercise that power, all right, as long as they have a just compensation, okay, equal, compensation for the property owner. But we know, all right, that these governments, these devils, they don't do that. They don't apply their own laws, man. Like I said from the beginning of the video, it's all about what? Sleight of hand. Everything is about deception. Okay, look at the system that we're living in now. All right, and it's funny because like the past 2 days or so, my boy, from the world or whatever, he's still learning the truth little by little, but the Lord hasn't, woken him up fully. All right, but he's going through some financial issues like most of us. All right, and he's basically, telling me, he's like, yo, bro, this is crazy, man. I try to, put some money into a 401k plan and all these different things. And the moment he stopped talking, I said, look, bro, I told you this a couple of years ago. I said, all this, all these stupid plans that they keep pushing for people to get, it's stupid, it's dumb. America is not going to be here for the next 5 years, 10 years. You out here got planned for when you retire. You know what's going to happen before that retirement shit, nigga? You putting all this money in there, they're going to change the system, even if the Lord said, you know what, I'm going to leave this thing to be out here for the next 100 years. And then you get time to get old enough where you can retire. The system is going to be different. It's not, you're planning for something that's going to be different, but you don't know about it. You think everything is going to be the same. Kind of like how everybody went to school, you were learning how to become a doctor or a nurse or whatever profession that you chose to do, right? And then the past 2 years, everything has changed. So you were studying in school, learning books and all these essays and papers and all these different things that you were learning how to do. And then now, 2 years later, there's a whole change. There's a whole new system. So everything you pretty much learned back then, you can't really apply it fully in this new system that we're living in. All right. Unless you completely convert, all right, everything you learn and pick up the new way of doing things now. OK, which is mostly digital, contactless, wearing a mask everywhere you go. Little things like having to get the Vanessa. All right. That's become the new thing. That's become the norm, what they call the new normal. OK, making these crazy iniquities, setting them as laws. OK, putting those things as the norm, the normality, the way of doing things. OK, I forgot what it's called in Latin. All right, the way of doing things, or how things go. I forgot how you say it in Latin, but there's a phrase for it. All right, but these are all things that he's telling me. He said he tried to do this 401k plan, and they effing him, bro. They're like, yo, he tried to get some money from his own 401k plan, and they said, oh, you're gonna have to pay us back. And I told him, I said, look, when it comes to banks, insurance companies, the court system, okay, all these different small little shit that they got going on, these are all the scamming, the IRS, all right, taxes and all this shit. These are all things that are put in place, all right, to make sure that the average citizen has no idea what the hell is going on, and they keep getting their pockets ransacked, man, so they can keep you at the bottom all the time. Okay, they play on the ignorance of the people, and they use it in a forceful way, so they makes you think that you're wrong. Okay, makes you think that you're wrong. But let's keep reading. It says, another example of how law was modified to be used against the common citizen was when court judgments for damages against businesses were taken out of the hands of citizen juries and given to judges, who conveniently were rich appointees of the ruling class. See, that's how they do it. Just like with every war, you had these bankers who what's the word? I say they fund the wars, right? They fund both sides of the wars, because why? In exchange for more power in the government, right? So in terms of war, which they orchestrate the war, and then they go on both sides and say, look, we could provide you with artillery, we could provide with the money. I know you don't have enough money to go to war and purchase all these weapons that you need. So here's what we're gonna do for you. All right, it's a big loan, but in return, you're gonna have to have a couple of my people in very high positions that are gonna be controlling the laws. Right? They're gonna be, playing their schemes and games, and that's how they play it. Okay, so yes, America and these major governments, if you want to call it, are indebted to these bankers. Okay, that's why we say that these bankers are the real kings of the earth. They are the real powers of the earth, man. Starting with the Rothschilds on down. Okay, like Mayor Amschel Bauer said, give me the power, give me control of a nation's money, and I care not who makes the laws. Right? Because once you have power, which is currency, all right, the money, the power that flows through the economy and the system, everything runs on money. Okay, the country is a big machine, and the oil that makes it keeps it running is what? The money, the current, the energy, the power. right? The currency. So anyone who controls the flow of that money controls that nation. And that's what these devils do. And now they're trying to kick it they're trying to kick it up a notch. And when that happens, you people got to forget about everything else. They want to create this new digital control over money and everything. All right. So everything we're seeing now is the implementation of that idea of the beast system that we've been talking about over the past, I don't know how long. All these years of bringing about Revelation 13, 16, 17, 18, Revelation 13, 16, 17, 18, Revelation 13, 16, 17, 18, and going into it. Now it's finally being fulfilled. We're watching it. We're looking at all these things happening day by day, man. You know? And for those who don't believe, that's okay. You weren't meant to believe in the first place. You're going to go ahead, you're going to take it, and you're going to be destroyed, period. Okay? Ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about it, man. But this is what's happening. All right? We're waking up the elect. We ain't looking for everybody. We're waking up the elect. Those who live in this world and see everything wrong with this world. That's who we're looking for. Because why? There's justice that's coming. All of this is going to end very soon. When Yahushua comes back, all of this will end. These people are not going to have no power. They will not completely fulfill their new world order. None of that shit. Okay? And all these iniquities, all this injustices, all this bullshit that they create, laws, iniquity and, turning good into evil and demonizing those who speak the truth, it's all going to stop. And their time is very short, and they know it. They know it. And when we get the chance, we're going to kick their ass so bad, man. So bad. It says, other changes that were made around this time included having private settlements that used to be handled by arbitration, which is outside of court, were replaced by court settlements, which created more dependence on lawyers and the legal system to settle cases. It says this gave the rich more control over the process since they are the only ones that can afford adequate legal representation. The massive legal system you see around you was created deliberately so the rich could keep you out of the legal process through financial means. You simply cannot afford to fight them through it. Happening since the 16th century, but taken to a new level during the late 19th century, the commercial relationship between seller and buyer was changed from what had been long-standing ancient practices that governed such transactions. And that goes all the way back to the Bible. Okay? When you're buying something, you weigh it in the balance. If you want to buy a land or whatever, right? You exchange, everything that you have for whatever it is that you want to gain, the barter system. Okay? I'll give you this for that. Was that quid pro quo? I believe that's what it is. I think this or that. All right. If I'm not mistaken, if I'm not butchering that phrase. All right. But there's a saying for it. Like you take this for that. All right. So let's keep going. It says, the ancient concept of a fair and honest deal for both buyer and seller led to the modern concept of caveat emptor. Okay. Or more commonly known as let the buyer beware. All right. And caveat emptor, all right, I believe is basically when you the buyer are not aware of some type of damages or indemnity, all right, of whatever it is that you're purchasing, but the seller is aware of it, but they just don't let you know. Right. So maybe you're buying a new car. All right. And there might be some type of deal somewhere that you don't know about. So they're going to hit you with the insurance. All right. Because of your ignorance of that fact. They know it, but they're not going to tell you, because if they tell you, then what's the purpose? What's the point? Right? So they're banking on your ignorance so they can make more money off of you. The little money that you have, you're just going to keep sending it to them. That's how they keep their power. Okay? They don't want you to have any type of relief in this system. Every day you're working harder and harder and harder, and you're really gaining nothing. All you're doing is, damn, I'm working to pay bills. You never work to have some type of freedom. Anytime, I'm working so I can go on vacation. I'm working so I can do, nah. You're always working with the mindset of, I got to pay my bills. It's a rat race of hell. A constant cycle of running around every single day and just being distracted because of work. It's ridiculous, man. But you got Jake don't want to get out of here, though. Talking about we got to save the whole nation. Are you kidding me, bro? It says, The foundational legal concept basically says that in certain situations, defects in goods or services may legally be hidden from the buyer and only known to the seller, like I just said. This shift in how commercial interactions between buyer and seller from fair price to watch your back is fundamental to how the rich have been able to loot American citizens and resources, and how the modern system of predatory capitalism has flourished. Okay, predatory capitalism, right? Let's keep reading. It says, ever watch Judge Judy? She loves to talk about buyer beware and how it is the buyer's fault for getting ripped off from a con man. Somehow, you should have known something you couldn't have known, and you have to pay for it, not the criminal party who lied to you. You see? So they create Esau, man. It says by the middle of the 19th century, the legal system has been reshaped to the advantage of men of commerce and in the industry at the expense of farmers, workers, consumers, and other less powerful groups within society. It actively promoted a legal redistribution of wealth against the weakest groups in the society. The whole goal here was for the exploitation of the weak and vulnerable to be disguised and made successful by the law while being given the appearance of fairness and neutrality. All right, and that's a target towards who? Jake. Because why? We're at the bottom. Okay, you so-called blacks, Latinos, Native Americans have a system. There's a system that's been put in place to keep you at the bottom. Okay, now you might have a few of us who might be able to wiggle our way through the system, all right, and kind of have some type of stability. But how many of us do really have that life? For the most part, when you think of a typical so-called black man, typical Latino man, or a typical Native American man, it's always some type of poverty or struggle, right? Your life is filled with struggle. You never have this fair and easy life. No. From birth to death, there's some type of struggle that you go through. And that is a curse from the Heavenly Father. All right. But slowly but surely, actually quickly, he's lifting off those curses, man. And how do you lift off those curses? By waking up to who you are. Okay. That's the first step of breaking those curses, man. Waking up to who you are and understanding what this is all about. Once you do that, everything changes, man. All right. And that's why we are the most hated group in the world by these elites. And they fear us because we're waking up the nation of Israel and the people around the world. These other nations are waking up too. All right. They're waking up too, man. And that's all biblical prophecy. Okay. It says this has worked like a charm to keep people under control by keeping them poor and helpless, helpless in the face of institutional power. Okay. Now I'm going to get something else. All right. Because we talked about something known as predatory capitalism. Right. And predatory capitalism is what we're about to read. Basically, what everything I just read is predatory capitalism, but it's a system that's been put out there to make it seem like that's just how things work, right? But that's why I said they've created abnormality and made it the norm. Injustice has become the law. You see, it says in his 1962 book, Capitalism and Freedom, Nobel Prize winning economist Milton Friedman expressed an optimistic vision of commercial exchange that emphasized the idea that both sides could win and that such exchanges were essentially civil. Okay, the possibility of coordination, there's a quote, through voluntary cooperation. Okay, so coordination means two parties coming together to form one. They might have two different ideas, but they come together with common grounds to create something. Scripture says, can two work together lest they be agreed, or except they be agreed, right? So two people can't come together, all right, unless there's a common ground. There's something that keeps them, some type of commonality, if that's a word, all right, that keeps, that same playing field, if you will. All right, that's why Yahushua said, what? If a house be divided against itself, how can it stand? Okay, why? Because if you have a house that there's a division, you're going to have separation, obviously, right? Why do you think there are divorces? There's an agreement at first, then they have the marriage, and then over time there's a disagreement, there's a division. All right, they both are on the same page, so then there's a breakup. Okay, same thing. If you have a country that's divided on both sides, what's going to happen? There's a clash. All right, so when you have that division, there's always going to be destruction. But when you have that common goal, all right, there's unity. And that's one thing they don't like. That's why they separate us, all right, with gender and race and color and height and, whatever. You know, even in the section of men, in the category of men, they have all kinds of divisions among us, right? Oh, there's 15% black, there's 20% white, there's 2% this, and 5% of them are 6 foot tall, and 3% of them are fat, and you know, all kinds of different weird shit that they categorize men. So there's always some type of division, some type of class, some type of, you know, category within categories, and that all creates division and confusion. Rather than just saying men, women, children, that's it. Nah, they want, you know, these types of men within the men category, women, these types of women. You know, they think like this, they act like this, they say this, they believe this, all this bullshit. You know. But when you wake up to the truth, all those things wither away because you understand this ain't about us or you. It's about Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua, right? That's that unity. That's that one common thing that we all have in common as Israelites. We serve one God, one power, okay? And we are under one law, all right? Which are the laws, statutes, and commandments of the scriptures. Once you go about that, everything is common. We're on the same playing field, all right? But now you got religions and politics and different weird shit, man. It's crazy. Anyway, it says so it says the possibility of coordination through voluntary cooperation, right? You cannot be coerced into it like how the government does now. All right. Yesterday I seen a video of this weirdo. I don't know where he came from. Obama. All of a sudden, y'all see that he's all of a sudden he's coming around a lot. You know, why is this nigga all of a sudden around here, you know, doing a whole campaign for the Vanessa? What's up with you, bro? You done. You served your 8 years. Go sit down someplace, man. Why are you coming around? You know, talking about he said something to the effect of basically he said we have basically done a clinical trial on over on billions of people, but yet 1 in 5 Americans still don't want to get the shot to protect themselves. They're still vulnerable. Like they keep on with this weak ass narrative of if you don't take it, you are at risk. So what? So what, bro? Like that's like saying if you don't eat, you're gonna be hungry. Well, that's my decision. If you don't sleep, you're gonna be tired. Nigga, you can't force me to eat or sleep. If I'm sleepy, I sleep. If I'm hungry, I eat. All this shit, like if you don't take what we giving you, then you're not gonna be protected. Like that's supposed to scare niggas. Like I understand these people, bro. You know, and that is like a campaign. Like the Vanessa is like a president that you better vote for something. Like relax, bro. Nobody's buying this narrative anymore. And when you go in the comment section of those videos, all you hear is people bashing them. A few months ago, it was the other way around, bashing those who speak against that. But now everybody's speaking against them. All right. So the man of sin is definitely being revealed. Why? Because of the shit that they do and say. All right, they're exposing themselves, and it lines up perfectly what we say, that this is what they do, and people are like, nah, and then they do it, and people are like, yeah, I see it now, and some are just like, nah. All right, it says the possibility of coordination through voluntary cooperation rests on the elementary yet frequently denied proposition that both parties to an economic transaction benefit from it, provided the transaction is bilaterally voluntary and informed. But guess what? That does not work here in America because it's always a one-way street. When you sign a contract, when you sign these terms and agreements and all these different things, it never benefits you as you think it does. Okay? Because they have all these different clauses and shit. I did a video probably some months ago, all right? And it was, I titled it Adhesion Contracts, okay? That is a form that Esau has created to keep everybody under his subjection by the means of contracts and money. Okay, all these athletes and all these so-called celebrities and all that, these entertainers, I should say, right? They're all being bought and controlled by these devils, man. Hollywood and, the sports world and whatever. It's all controlled by these devils through money and contracts. Okay? Those two things. All right? So that's why you sign a contract and they're paying you, you get to say nothing, right? You don't get to look at the contract and say, I don't like this part, change this. Nah, it's always what they say. You get to sign the contract that they had to write up. That's a problem. It's not a two-way street. Okay? It says, Friedman did, however, express the caveat that is that this ideal relationship would only work if commercial exchanges were voluntary and both parties to the transaction were well informed. Okay, and like I said, how many people actually understand how insurance works? How many people actually understand how the bank system and money actually works? How many people actually understand these terms and agreements, these contracts that they sign? Do they really understand what that's all about? No, because they don't teach you that. They don't teach you about taxes. They don't teach you about the IRS. They don't teach you about anything, all right, that'll give you some type of freedom and know how the system actually works. The so-called system known as capitalism, which is really known as predatory capitalism. Okay? It says, of course, these conditions are rarely met. Corporations don't want well-informed consumers. They just want to maximize sales. Advertising is a billion-dollar industry whose purpose is to see that we are impulsive and ill-informed when we spend our money. Okay? That is why this truth is labeled as misinformation, because it brings out, all right, the exploitation, all right, and the lies through the media that they want to perpetrate on the people, so people could go about and just do whatever. All right, and just do whatever. It says, by the 1970s, Friedman was proclaiming that the social responsibility of business is to increase its profits. This idea soon became known as the Friedman Doctrine. It paved the way for corporations to abandon any pretense of genuine social responsibility, because they could now claim that pure profit seeking was their social responsibility. Right? See how Esau works? The devil. All right, and that's his thing. All right, scripture says what? The love of money is the root of all evil. All right, and these niggas, the whole, like I said, profit seeking, all right, was their social responsibility. And that shit goes all the way back to the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, okay, and so on and so forth. All right, it says the Friedman Doctrine is false. A business has responsibilities to more than just its shareholders. It also has responsibilities to its customers, its employees, and the communities in which they do business. All right, and that has changed. All right, gone are the days where you heard things like the customer's always right. Did you not see what happened this past 2 years? If you don't comply with what the system or the business or whatever store you went into, if you didn't do what they told you to do, you couldn't be serviced. But what happened? Did you not see people who were not allowed to go into restaurants because they were not Vanessed? Or people who weren't able to show their V cards because they weren't V'd. So that means they weren't accepted in so many different venues who couldn't work, right? If you didn't, I remember when the things first started, all right, and they put these mask mandates out, you know, no mask, no entry. That shit was crazy. You go into a store without a mask, they'll look at you like, yo, you gotta have a mask on, bro. If not, you gotta get out. You know, ain't no customers always right shit. Nah, they changed all that. All right, so now the businesses are always right, and you just have to comply. If you don't, then you're not going to be serviced. And that is what the MOTB, all right, mindset, mentality. Okay, people being, what's the word, man? Damn, I'm looking for a nice groomed. There you go. People being groomed, all right, for that MOTB reality. All right. It says, yet corporations now regularly deceive and overcharge their customers, mistreat and underpay their employees, and pollute and blackmail the communities in which they are located. As long as their stock price is up, they consider themselves to be successful. You hear that? So these corporations and these businesses don't care about you. They just put on these fancy little things. Oh, we're donating to this. Oh, do you want to round up your shit so you can donate to? I'll be like, yo, all the money you niggas make, you can't donate. You asking for me to give you money to go donate? It'd be like, what the fuck? You know? That's why I don't do all these donation shit. Like, I don't believe in those donations, man. Because it doesn't even do what they say it does. Knowing Esau and his lies? Nah, bro. Even when they say, oh, we're here to help, you turn around and be like, yo, bro, listen, you can keep your help. Go help somebody else. Ain't nobody, listen, it's not genuine. People don't just go around offering help. You know? I ain't ask you for help. You just come in for full force. Let me help you. Come on now. Let me help you. You need my help. Bro, you know? You ain't see nothing wrong with that? If you don't do this, then you're going to die. If you don't let me help you, then you're going to be fine. If you don't let me help you, like, yo, relax, man. You want to fight or something? Chill out. You know? It says, the rules of the game have become cancerous. They are killing us. They are killing the corporation. They're helping to kill the country. Peter Gorgescu, that's his name. Trickle down. It says, in the 1980s, Ronald Reagan justified the increasingly upward flow of money with the absurd claim that helping the wealthy was helping everyone, right? And that's because he was bound, all right? His ass was grass. If he didn't do what they told him to do, he would have been taken out. And they showed him because he had a little assassination attempt on his ass, and then he changed his mindset, all right? It says he called the predatory wealthy, quote, job creators and promoted the crazy idea that if the government would just give huge subsidies and tax breaks to the corporations, wondrous benefits will trickle down to everyone else. The mythical story was that if we all gave more of our money to the already wealthy, they would invest it for us, and the resulting economic boom would more than pay back the transfer, even after taxes and inflation. It sounded too good to be true, and it was. Okay, and that's the same thing they're doing now. That's why after the so-called pandemic, all this, where do you think all this money is going to? Oh, we just signed $1 billion stimulus check, all right, stimulus bill, but yet you get only $600 out of that, or whatever. But yet these niggas is getting millions and billions, and you just getting $600. How do you think that worked? They were transferring money from you to the rich. That's what was happening. It wasn't nothing else than that. All right, all these stimulus this and stimulus that, it wasn't for you. You got the crumbs, and people were loving that, staying at home, not working, loving that shit. Little did you know that it was all a plan to make sure that your ass go broke and you're gonna be in need when you really need that money. When everything comes full circle and they show you their full plan, and you see yourself in the middle of the plan because you didn't see it from the beginning, that's when people gonna be bugging out. It's gonna be too late. All right, and you're gonna have to take that MOTB to relieve your stress. All right, it says, since then, the Republican Party's policy implementation of this specious economic theory vastly accelerated the upward flow of money and resources in our society to the wealthy. Of course, the promised trickle-down benefits never came, and it never does. It's called politics for a reason. Okay, you promise the people all the good in the world. Oh, all your problems are going to stop if you allow us to do this, this, and that to you. It's going to be a little uncomfortable, but we're going to get out of it together. Okay, it's for the greater good. And then you get to a point where you're like, okay, I'm waiting for the greater good. Where is it at? And they'd be like, oh, keep on fighting. We're almost there. Just keep on going. We can do this. We're gonna finish strong. All right. Oh, just give us a little bit more time. We're almost there. Hang strong. Hang tight. All right. Just hang tight. And you never see anything better done in your life. That's how they do it. All right, that is how they do it, man. It went from 2 weeks and it's been 2 years, and they telling you, look, this is just how it's going to be. All right. Ruthless competition says, we now live in a world of ruthless competition that puts the lie to Friedman's rosy vision. All of capitalism's worst qualities are running rampant and largely unchecked. All right. The quest for unlimited, unregulated profit has led to lies, deceit, manipulation, propaganda, labor abuse, and of course, power politics. The rich are getting dramatically richer, the poor are even poorer, and the middle class is disappearing. And in the year 2022, as I'm doing this video, what's today? What is that? April 22nd, 2020. Damn. Wow. Shit. Yo, time is flying. Wow. April 22nd, 2022, man. All right, the year where Yahweh Bashem Yahushua turns up. And we can say that the middle class ain't disappearing. It's been disappeared. All right. It says America has degenerated from e pluribus unum to take the money and run. All right. And that's Latin for, I believe, e pluribus unum, out of many one, if I'm not mistaken. All right. It says the upshot of such an approach is something dismal and squalid. Vulnerability is targeted, duress exploited, and ignorance thoroughly mined. Nothing about such conduct is especially civil. All right, because that's not the nature of Esau. Esau is not a civil creature. All right, his whole thing is about destruction. Okay. All right, so that's pretty much it on that. Let me get a quick precept and then I'm gonna close it out. All right, because all this shit, man, look, there's judgment that's coming. Okay, judgment is coming, man. All right, for all this atrocity, all this BS, man. All right, there's a book of Nahum chapter 3 verse 1. It says, "Woe to the bloody city! It is all full of lies and robbery. The prey departeth not. The noise of a whip, and the noise of the rattling of the wheels, and of the prancing horses, and of the jumping chariots." And that's all what? Slavery. Okay, you got cars moving every day, business, commerce. All right, the noise of a whip. All right, well, what do you normally do with a whip? You crack the whip on the back of an ass, all right, or a donkey, or an oxen. But in this case, it's talking about the people. Okay, when you wake up with the sound of your alarm, all right, it sounds like so annoying, man. You hear that shit, the first reaction is, oh, yo, this shit again. That's always your reaction, And that's like, it feels like a noise of a crack of a whip on your back, straight up like slavery, man. It says the noise of the rattling of the wheels. All right, the cars moving every day. You hop in your car, your Uber, your trains, your buses, whatever. All right, the prancing of horses and the jumping of chariots. It says the horseman lifteth up both the bright sword and the glittering spear. All right, and there is a multitude of slain and a great number of carcasses, and there is none end of their corpses. They stumble upon their corpses. All right, it's talking about the dead. Okay, those who die. You got a lot of Jake that get messed up. All right, but ultimately, all right, when the Lord is done with this place, that's what's going to happen. All right, bodies upon bodies, man. All right, it says, because of the multitude of the whoredoms of the well-favored harlot, which is who? America, so-called America, known in the scriptures as Babylon the Great. Okay, the mistress of witchcrafts. All right, and how do they do the witchcrafts? Through their media. Okay, their deception, their money, propaganda, all that shit. All right, it says that selleth nations through her whoredoms. All right, and families through her witchcrafts. That is America. Okay, behold, I am against thee, saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts, and I will discover thy skirts upon thy face, and I will shew the nations thy nakedness, and the kingdoms thy shame. All right, and that's synonymous with Isaiah 47. Okay, Isaiah 47 pretty much says the same thing. All right, uncover thy locks, make thy thigh bare. Okay, uncover thy nakedness. All right, it says, and I will cast abominable filth upon thee, and make thee vile, and will set thee as a gazing stock. Okay, and that's what's happening to America. All eyes are upon America because of what? Number one, the injustices against Israel, the nation of Israel. Okay, their policies, their demonic, satanic policies and way of doing things, and of course, ultimately, who? Their president. That nigga is an eyesore. Okay, he's an eyesore. Every time people see him and look at him, it's straight mockery, man. He's a gazing stock. Everybody want to watch what he's going to say and the stupid shit he's going to come out of his mouth. Okay, so that's all what talking about Babylon the Great America, man. Ultimately, this was going back to Nineveh, but today's modern day Nineveh is America. All right, and Nineveh ended up in complete ruins, and that's the same result that will happen to America. Babylon the Great, modern day Nineveh. All right, and so on and so forth, man. All right, so I just want to leave it off there. Lord willing, you've been edified. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh. Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakha Kodash, the water Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, and until next time, Shalom.